Good morning, everyone. This morning's meditation will continue the mindfulness practice, that is the practice of cultivating a calm, clear and focused mind. And so yesterday we used the breath for that purpose. We began in the first half with focusing on the rhythm of the breath to really establish a basis of relaxation, and in the second half we moved to the nostrils. For today's practice, I'd like to, in the first half, turn our attention to the mind, to observe the mind as the object of this practice. And so when I say to observe the mind, I mean to observe the mind and whatever mental events are arising in the mind. That is, thoughts, emotions, memories, mental images. And so in this practice, we're just observing any thoughts and so on as they arise and pass, arise and pass. What we're not paying attention to in this practice is any sense objects. So we're not paying attention to sounds, sensations, visual and so forth. Just mental objects. Thoughts, emotions, memories, mental images. Of course, many of you will probably find this quite challenging because the mind is a little bit more subtle object than the breath, but also we don't really have a habit of observing our mind. Our very strong habit is when something comes up in our mind, we latch onto it and off we go on our stories. So, in this practice, if you find something coming up and off you go, then, of course, let it go and come back. Let it go and come back. Let it go and come back. Just keep coming back. And what we're going to introduce in the first half as well to help avoid getting swept away, which is the most common fault in this practice in the beginning stage, is to introduce labelling. That is to give a name to the mental event. So if something comes up, give it a name, like thought, irritation, memory, image. If you give it a name, you can get a bit of space from it. So we'll introduce that part way through just to see if that helps with not getting swept away. So that's what we're going to do in the first half. In the second half, we're then going to do a practice called resting in awareness. And in this practice, in the breath practice, of course, we're aware of the sensations of the breath. In the practice we're going to do now, we're aware of the mind and aware of thoughts and so forth. In the practice of resting in awareness, we're turning awareness in upon itself and just knowing that we're aware. Many people find this even more challenging, not because it's complicated, because it's too simple. Too simple. Because basically involves doing nothing. We don't know how to do nothing. We always want to do something. So this is more about being than doing. So of course in this practice, all sorts of things will come up in the mind. Thoughts, memories, emotions, sounds, sensations. In this practice, we're not interested in any appearances. We're not trying to block them. We're just not paying any attention to them. Let them be there. They can be there. Thoughts, images, doesn't matter. The only thing we're interested in is knowing that we're aware. That's it. Also, both of these, very important to have the basis of relaxation, because if we get tight, we're going to get agitated and swept up and caught away. So really, in both of these, relax, relax, relax. So really relaxing the body and mind fully. Now, in general, in meditation, the general recommendation in meditation is to have the eyes open, at least slightly, because if we have them closed, we get dull. But certainly in these two practices, it's very much recommended to have the eyes open. And there are a number of reasons for that. One is that it helps to improve clarity, because with eyes closed, it's very easy to drift into dullness and drowsiness. Also, with eyes open, it helps to lock us more into the present moment. With eyes closed, it's much easier to go off into the past and the future. But also with eyes open, it starts to break down the false sense of duality. With eyes closed, there's a strong sense of me in here, world out there. Whereas with the eyes open, that strong sense of duality starts to break down, which is what we're trying to actually realize later in the Vipassana practice. There is no subject-object duality. So if we're already breaking it down a little bit in the shamatha practice here, that's going to help us later when we do Vipassana. And the last reason to have the eyes open is that we want to be able to bring this into daily life. In daily life, we also want to be able to observe our thoughts, emotions, and memories without getting caught up in them. But if we've only ever meditated with eyes closed doing that, it's going to be harder to do that in daily life, because generally in daily life we have our eyes open. So if we meditate with eyes open, get in the habit of observing our thoughts and emotions and so forth, we can bring that into daily life. So it's these reasons to really have the eyes open. And when I say eyes open, you can have them naturally open or partially open, whichever you prefer. Okay? And if you've never meditated with your eyes open and you, when we start this meditation, you really find it completely uncomfortable, you can close your eyes if you wish. But I very much encourage you to get used to it, because once you get used to it, it's very, very helpful. Okay, so that's the two practices we'll do, so let's begin. As always, we begin by preparing the body. So setting the body into a state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. So a vigilant posture is to simply keep the back nice and straight. And then at the same time allow the entire body to become completely relaxed. And using the out breath to relax and release any tightness or tension in any part of the body. And relaxing more deeply with each out-breath. Allowing the breathing to settle into its natural rhythm. Not trying to control or regulate the breath in any way. Simply allowing it to flow naturally and effortlessly. and allowing the mind to come to rest in the present moment. And simply becoming aware of the rhythm of your breath. Noticing if it's slow or fast, deep or shallow, long or short, without trying to modify it in any way. So simply becoming aware of the rhythm of your breath. Now allowing your eyes to be at least partially open, resting your gaze in the space in front of you, keeping the eyes soft and relaxed, blink as often as you need. And now bring your attention to your own mind and observe your own mind and whatever is arising in the space of the mind. Thoughts, emotions, memories, mental images. Simply be like an impartial observer or witness, observing thoughts and other mental events as they arise and pass, without grasping to them, without becoming distracted. If you're new to this practice and you're not sure where to focus, then every now and again deliberately generate a thought. Any thought will do. And watch that thought as it arises in your mind, and watch it as it disappears back into the mind. And then keep your attention right where it was and see what comes up next in that space. you find that you got caught up in a thought and got carried away, remember the first thing to do is simply relax. Then release grasping onto that thought and very gently return to observing the mind. So relax, release and return each time you become distracted. Simply keep coming back to the mind again and again, patiently and happily. If you're finding that you're constantly getting caught up in your thoughts and emotions, getting carried away, then you might like to introduce some labelling or noting. That is, give a name to the mental event that is arising, such as thought, image, memory, and so on. And that way you can have a little bit more space from it. if you're becoming frustrated at not being able to observe your thoughts, observe that frustration. Or if you're becoming bored with the practice, observe that boredom. Whatever is arising in the mind, observe it. Without grasping, without distraction. If you need to stretch your legs, you can do that now quietly. So once again, establishing that nice, comfortable posture. Keeping the back nice and straight. And at the same time, allow the entire body to become completely relaxed. And relaxing more deeply with each out-breath.